Hi, everybody, and welcome to our very first webinar of 2025. We're really excited to see people coming in. I know more people will as we get home from school. I don't know about you guys, but it's freezing here in Iowa, and so I'm sure that you're either coming home or getting settled if you're still at school. So we're really happy that you're here today as we talk about building an amazing virtual library. My name is Shannon McClintock Miller, and you can find me online either at Instagram or X at Shannon M. Miller. I also put my Blue Sky handle there, and I know that Bree's going to talk about hers too, but I am the district teacher librarian at Van Meter Community School, and I'm also the Future Ready Librarians Leader.
Hi, my name's Brianna Kua. I am a marketing consultant and the owner of Engage Media Solutions. Yeah, there's my Blue Sky handle too.
Thanks, Bree. So just a few little reminders. Our webinar is going to be around 30 minutes, maybe a little bit more because we have a lot to share today. We're going to have a little bit of time for questions at the end, and I'll also share where you can reach out if you have any afterwards, and we'll make sure to answer those. And you are going to be receiving the slides and a recording after our webinar. So we will make sure that everybody has everything that you need from today. I also put a slide in here to show the 3 that we've already had in this series. We had these in the fall, and if you click on this, which you're going to get the slides and everything, we'll have links and you'll be able to find these and click on them too. But the recordings and the resources are also in this slide, so you'll be able to get to those 3 from the fall too. We had a lot of fun talking about reading and nonfiction and just all kinds of fun library things in the fall. And so we hope that you guys check those out too afterwards. But our webinar today is going to focus on how to build an amazing virtual library and space that supports all learners, teachers, and families within your school community. And I know that in my library, it's so important what we do in our library as we build that community and we make it a space that the kids love to be, where they can read and learn and create and be with each other and build that community that we have. But it's also so important to really think about the space that we have for our readers and our learners and even our families and our teachers that is online too. And so we're just going to start with a definition and kind of that vision of a virtual library in a space for our school community. When we think about a virtual library, it is just a digital collection of resources that is accessible online. It's also known as a digital or online library. And so I think that, we've always had a space for our kids and for our school community. But for me, especially during the pandemic and afterwards, I started thinking about a lot of things different on how we were creating spaces for our kids. If it was for them being able to get information, if it was them being able to go and create with a tool, maybe it's interacting with a great site that has books they can listen to or they can read online. Maybe it's going to PebbleGo and researching, like whatever we want the kids and all these resources, we want to give them a place that they can get to these wherever they're at. And we think about too, like why a virtual library matters. And I love that it brings accessibility to all learners. It supports all types of learning environments. If they're at school, on the go, home, if they're digital. I know that right now, being in winter, like our kids are even having virtual days if they have snow days or cold days. And so that's something that's really nice to be able to have access to. It promotes equity and engagement across the entire school community. And it also makes reading and learning really exciting, engaging, and fun. It's where our kids are at. And when we think about what we do as Future Ready librarians, I was looking at our framework the other day as I put this into the slide, thinking about all the places that a virtual library like fits within what we do, our role as librarians. If it is creating a space around literacy, if it's building those instructional partnerships because our teachers are using technology, so we want them to get the resources, empowering our students as creators. Even when we think about like designing that collaborative space, it's not just a space that we have within our library, but it's a space too that we're making sure that we have that community with our stakeholders that's also online. And so all these things come together to support our teachers, our community, and of course, our students and our families. And when I think about how I'm collaborating, how I'm working with the kids, maybe I'm even like having an author like Drew Daywald in this picture, zoom in with our kids in the library, like whatever we're doing, we want to make sure that it's supporting the things that are important to us and to our community within our library. I want to talk too a little bit about the key components of an amazing virtual library. And we're going to start just with platforms. And there's several platforms that are out there that you might be using for yours. And maybe it's not up here on the screen, but some of my favorite are Google Sites. I'll share in a minute some more because that's what I use for our library site. I also use Destiny Library Manager from Follett. And this is something that I love because you can really build out now, even in your LMS, like what you're doing within your library and within your classrooms. Book Creator, Adobe Express, and even Canva. And it's great because all these places too even have really awesome templates that you can use that make it easy when you're setting up your virtual space. So for mine, I use Google Sites. I love using Google Sites. All of our kids and our teachers use Google. It's great because I can take a site and I can embed things right in it, and I'll show you more about that as we go too. Book Creator, love using this too. And I think this example from my friends in Nantucket, I went to their school a few weeks ago, and in the middle and the high school, they used a book in Book Creator to have all of their resources handy for their school community. So I thought, what a great idea to use that as a platform to really make a very special virtual library for their community. And then back to like Follett Destiny Library Manager, how we can use that. And the nice thing about it now is that you can embed all kinds of things within that front page. If it is a choice board like shown here, if it is starting a reading challenge, maybe you have Engage set up that's in your Destiny Library Manager and you want to create that community, whatever it might be, you can have it be a resource that's not just a book on the shelf, but really tying in to just all the different ways that we can organize and really curate that content that is included in our virtual and also in our library that is on the shelf too. And so there's lots of different ways to do that. One thing that I also think is so helpful is now the way that we can set up, all of our classrooms are at our school are on Google Classroom. And so we have one just for the library where the kids can go and I can be a teacher, and here I can invite other teachers. I can be a teacher in my teachers' Google Classrooms and maybe I add this to theirs too. But the kids know if they go here, they can find every resource that we have. And so not only getting it from the Google site, but even getting it from Google Classroom or maybe it's Symbaloo, whatever they might be using to be able to kind of their favorite platform to get to those sites. In Google Classroom too, if you don't have a Google Classroom or maybe you haven't set one up for your library, I put a couple posts in here that are really helpful. And the one on the right is just 4 posts kind of like to walk you through how to do it. And then on the left, when I rolled out ours to our school, I got all these keys and I made just a little card. And then the kids, all they had to do and the teachers was go to that little bit.ly at the bottom or scan it. And the teachers then, they have this in their classroom. So if they have a new student or maybe they have someone that they can't find it for whatever reason, they can get to it really, really easy too. And then in our Google site, like I shared earlier, I love using Google Sites too because any choice board that I make, I can embed that right into my site. So for example, I have this one that has all of our resources together, but we also have other ones. This is a great one that just is a choice board. Every time we add a new book, we add it to our choice board. So when the kids go there, they can see all of the new books that we've added in the different genres and categories throughout the year. And so another thing that really helps our kids with not only, you know, what we might have online in an ebook or maybe an audiobook, but also on our shelves too. We did this during COVID, and this tied into book flicks like Netflix. And I wanted to show my kids what was in Destiny, but in a poster form. And so there's a link in here that gives you the template, really easy to set up for your own library, but a great way to highlight new books that are there, maybe books that are trending, popular books that maybe are audio or ebooks, and so all kinds of ways that you can really celebrate. And again, back to Destiny, now in Destiny, you can even select like what the carousels are, and so changing up what the carousels are, or even getting advice from Destiny about what you should read next. And so it's a great thing to show your kids that we have those capabilities if you have engaged within your Destiny, that the kids can even see that too, and even set up a challenge. Another platform that I wanted to mention is Padlet. I love using this. This is a great site for our kids to be able to collaborate and also just even like to crowdsource ideas. And I love using this with our teachers. So it really adds a nice layer when we want that collaboration. Now we're going to talk about and think about like when you're selecting the resources to use in your virtual library, like what do you use? And I get this question a lot when we're collaborating or sitting down and talking about like a lesson or co-teaching. What do we all have that we can use? It might be ebooks, it might be our digital tools, websites, all kinds of things. And the first thing that I do whenever I'm thinking about what I want either on my Google site or maybe I'm setting up in my Destiny, I think about everything that we have at school, all of our databases. I think about our ebooks. I think about free places to go like Storyline Online or Kidlit TV. And when I'm putting something together, like if it's a choice board or maybe a website, I'm pulling from all those ideas because I want to get these things in front of my kids. I want them to use the databases that we have and to use the ebooks and the great free resources. And so anything I can do to just be able to curate it and to organize it for our kids so they can get to everything really easy is so helpful. A lot of platforms too, like Capstone Interactive, they have done a great job of putting things together now. So PebbleGo Next, and your ebooks are all in one spot. And so even making sure that they have access to these things and that they understand how to use it in our virtual library is really important. And then another thing is thinking about all the digital tools that we have. I want to, make sure that they can get to Adobe or Canva or Book Creator. I want to make sure that if they're going to get on a GimKit or into a breakout, that they can get there wherever they are. And so really putting those together too. We also want to make sure that we include interactive features and technology to encourage and enhance student engagement. Again, just like we talked about some of those digital tools and those different resources we have, we can also now incorporate a lot of interactive features like things like choice boards, podcasts, digital tools again, collaborative spaces. Maybe it's a Fig Jam or a Padlet that we want to have them connect and share. And what I do each and every month is I make a choice board like shown on here, and it's actually linked in this slide, and you can use it too or even remix it and make some changes. And also I make a little virtual book hub where I just pull together a set of books for our kids that are appropriate for the month. Maybe it's tied into different themes or events that are going on, things that we want to make sure that our kids have about seasons. And so it's really nice to have that be part of what we're doing each month. And I always think, like, where can I put this? So I put it on my Google site. I make sure it's embedded in my Destiny page. I make sure that it's on our Google Classroom. And no matter where the kids go in our virtual spaces, they're able to find that each and every month too. We also have a virtual makerspace. This has been so popular the last few years, and this was something that I did during the pandemic, is just put together a bunch of places that the kids can go. If it's coding, if it's building, if it's designing something, no matter what they want to do. And a lot of things too, they might find something on here, but then do it with their hands or make something that they're using paper or even materials that they have in their classroom or at home. And if you work with older kids, I have one too for 6th to 12th grade. So you can click on this slide and get to both of those. Another thing is podcast, and our kids love podcasts. And I, a few years ago, put together these choice boards that have the kids, it takes them right to appropriate podcasts for whatever grade level they are. And so another thing to think about that you can include in your virtual space. And then I love this idea. I have a few of these, and one thing, these came from our teachers and our kids. And one thing that they really love is we have a lot of things that we use. And so whenever we can make a choice board, if it's a monthly one or something around an event, the end of the day, like the one shown here, it's really great for the teachers and the kids. And they have then some direction and they have some choices. Even though they have a lot of choice, it's not a whole bunch of choices that they can pick from. And so this one, it can take them to 6 different places, even tying in a little typing, which is something that we always want to do. But one that I really wanted to point out is pixel art. And in this one, when they click on pixel art, it goes into the Demco Stick Together pixel art site. This is a free site where kids can create, there's actually 300 little pixels that they could create. And it's so great because you can set up a dashboard. So as they're creating, they can then see, and I just put this up like on the board, you can see them creating whatever they are. If it's themselves or a flower, we just did Martin Luther King, and it goes then into your dashboard, and it's really easy to be able to print those off, even make a collage, but kids love to do this. And our kids, they love doing the ones, I love this picture of the little guy with his coat on. It's the end of the day, standing by the poster doing it. Our kids love to do them that are in the hallways in the classroom, but this is a great choice too for kids to be able to do it wherever they are. And you can also print these off. You can either print them in color, you can have them be digital, but you can even buy the pixel art class packs and kind of go from your virtual library to having them actually do something with their hands. And these class packs, they do probably like 4 to 5 classrooms, I would say, of kids. So tons of stickers to be able to have them then sticker their own poster. And I wanted to include this too. We just got some new ones, and there are so many cute ones right now. I love the new rabbit one, but the stick together posters from Demco, you can find them in here too. And then I had to mention Book Creator. This is one that I have always in our virtual library wherever our kids go to. And it's so fun because we've been pairing it up this year, even with some of our databases like PebbleGo. And so last week when our kindergartners went in, they did a little research and they found this in their Google Classroom. And then they were able to go to PebbleGo, do their research, and then they made these amazing reports about polar animals. And so really fun to see how they're using that digital tool. But I love that they know that they can find it if they want to go back and create again. And so these are kindergartners, and that becomes then a big part of their virtual library. So there's also a lot of strategies for engagement and community building when it comes to your virtual library. And when you have a space like this, you have to make sure that you are sharing it, that you have buy-in from your teachers and your students, even your families, and you want to make it a space where you can connect and grow together, and that everybody, even though it's a virtual space, that they feel like they have a connection to it. And I always make sure, no matter what we're doing in our library, that we get our kids involved. And it doesn't matter if they're your younger ones, your older ones, but asking them what they want, making sure maybe they can, draw a banner for it, or you can brainstorm with them and think of all kinds of fun little ideas. One thing that came from students a few years ago is we use a little book counter in our library, and they love seeing how many books that we checked out, but they also wanted to see that in a virtual sense. And so I put together this virtual one. You can actually click on the slide and get it too, but that is part of our homepage on just our Google site. And so another great way to just really celebrate what's happening with your readers and getting that buy-in on your site too. This idea was so fun. This was a recent thing. And if you live where it's cold and snowy, you know that we have a lot of indoor recess right now because it's winter time. And I got this email from one of my fourth grade teachers that said that our kids were concerned about the games and they wanted to play, things that when we had indoor recess, but they wanted to get together with me so they could brainstorm different things that they would love to go to. So they had something to do during indoor recess. And so I got together with them, this little committee, and they gave me some ideas. And I was able to put together this choice board. So this became, kind of like our virtual library during indoor recess time, where they can go to some of those tools we have, like Book Creator and Storyboard That. They can go in and they can read if it is in PebbleGo or maybe some ebooks. And then they can go to things like Codable or even PBS Kids and have some fun too. And so listening to your kids is just really important when it comes to building those virtual spaces. Also use the virtual library as a space to share news and updates. And I love this, being able to think about, maybe I'm going to Book Creator and I'm making a newsletter and I'm tying in some just really fun things for the kids. And I love being able to go to Book Creator when I make my newsletters because it has different apps that I could go to Canva and I could build maybe like a newsletter that I have found, a template, and bring it into Book Creator. I can add stickers. I could even add, if I had like an event or something, I could add things in it and really make it fun for the kids to be able to go there and make it interactive. I also love these calendars from Demco. I put in the February ones, but I also put in the ones for next month for March. But something like this is very easy to share in your virtual space. Maybe it's sharing on your homepage, or you have a parent page. Maybe you have a Facebook page, tied to your virtual library. And it's great for our teachers because we can use these and find so many ways that we can tie into events and special things that we can then share in our classroom. And so you can find them on the Demco Ideas and Inspiration site, but they always do such a great job and a really great thing to include in our virtual spaces. Another thing is we start thinking this time of year about summer reading. It's so important, whatever you do, that you have a space and a place for your summer reading. And we're already now, we're almost into March, and so it's just a few months away. And one thing that we do every year, and I actually do this with my friends at Capstone, and you can all use these too, is we do a really cool virtual summer camp adventure, just choice boards that are filled with all kinds of ideas. And so this, in a sense, becomes a virtual library even in the summertime. But I wanted to share my blog quick because when I first started my blog, it was a place just like what we're talking about, a place for me to share things that were happening, news from our library, news from our classroom, great things that our kids were doing. And so something like a blog can really be helpful when you are sharing these things too. Also, make sure to celebrate and host events within and from your virtual library space. And there's so many like different ideas and resources for virtual events. If it's a virtual author visit, or maybe it's a book club, maybe it's Battle of the Books, and how do you know, make that virtual in a sense. Different like workshops and competitions. So I want to share a few ideas with you and how we do that. When we have our state award books, I have an area in our library where we have the actual books, but then I also made a little virtual space where the kids can go, they can either scan the QR code, or this is also in our Google Classroom, and they can listen to all of the book trailers. So really easy way to kind of bring that into a virtual space. And then I made bookmarks that the kids can take home. They can scan it, they can take it to their classroom, and then on the back side, they can vote too. We have Read Across America coming up. And so not only do I make this for a poster for our teachers to hang up in their classrooms, I also make the one on the right-hand side that I did with my friends at Follett Content. And you can find this little list in Tidal Wave, but I also have those books in my library, and some of them I even have online. And so I connect them and make it into a choice board for the kids that way. And the same thing with March Madness. We have that coming up. And I did this a few years ago where it was, I think, during the pandemic when we were back at school, but we always do it in our hallway. And then the year that we couldn't all be together, I just made a choice board and I put either like recordings, or maybe it was like an author interview or an author reading the book, and then just connected it, or even the ebook, into this choice board so you can get to those too. We just had Digital Learning Day. I had to share this again because a lot of people are still celebrating, and it was just on the 13th, but this is a great choice board and a great thing to put into your virtual library. This is open all year long, but you can get to all kinds of places where the kids can create and read and all kinds of fun things just to keep that reading going. Now, a couple of places to go to, not only for your teachers, but even to recommend for your families when you're thinking about like virtual experiences for our kids. Skype a Scientist, they have free events, and they even have live streams in the summer. I wanted to put that in there. Crayola Learning, you find these on their Facebook page, great ones too. And then a lot of places, they have different school opportunities, but also things even for after school and in the summertime too. I love the ones that the Sea Turtle Rescue in North Carolina, they have great virtual field trips. And I even put together like a choice board where I can tie in things from our virtual library, tie in PebbleGo, maybe tie in some books, and then make it that interactive experience for our kids. And I am really excited to share this one. This is one that I'm going to put on my blog later today from Book Creator. It is Tell Your Story competition and be an author. You can find it at this bit.ly at the bottom, but it's really fun because in March is Be an Author Month, and it's great because our kids can all be authors and create books no matter what age they are. There are lots of really fun prizes too, but it is a great thing. You know, when we have something like this, I make sure that it's on the front page of our Google Classroom, and it's something that our teachers are sharing and putting theirs. It's on our library site. I make sure it's on our Facebook page. And so I want our kids to be involved in these great experiences that they can have. And places like, if it's maybe when we celebrated like World Read Aloud Day, or we celebrated Digital Learning Day, like anything that we have that we can help our teachers and help our kids find these resources that they need to bring these really fun events to our kids is a great thing. The last thing is promoting your virtual library. And, you know, like I said a little bit ago, we have to make sure that we're, you know, raising awareness and really encouraging the use of these great resources. And so we have a lot of, places, if it's orientation at the beginning of the school year and sharing them. If it's on our social media, we have a Facebook and an Instagram and an X page. And so we're sharing like different things. If it's in our Google Classroom, maybe it's a school announcement or a newsletter that we're making. Anything that we can do to make sure that we're sharing and make sure that we're have these resources again wherever they are, if it's at school, at home, on the go, and that they have the things no matter what age of what they maybe are learning and reading and what they can be even creating with. So as you can see, there's so many things to think about when creating a vibrant virtual library, and we hope that you gain some new knowledge and tips and resources for your virtual library too. It's so fun because when I think about, just even what we're doing at our school and how we change things up. Yesterday, I met with our IT director and we were talking about Clever and talking about, how things have changed and how we use different tools now to curate and to organize things. But some kind of like things that I always think about in my head is, what works, what looks good, where do the kids like to be, how interactive is it? And so I'm always sharing ideas when I do something new or I have a good idea or something that you can, copy and use in your own library. I'll share it on my blog. And I wanted to share, you can find my blog at the Library Voice. I just shared actually yesterday and a few days ago some stuff for Read Across America. So that's on there right now, and you can grab that and use it too. We also have a wonderful weekly newsletter. Brianna does such a good job working on the Library Voice newsletter, and it's so fun to be able to look back at what we do each week, not only in my school, but also just on the blog and different projects and things that we're working on. And so you can either scan this code or you can get it at the bit.ly below. So really fun to share all these things with you. And I can't wait to see if there are some questions. So I'm gonna ask Brianna.
Don't see any yet, but I'm sure we'll have some.
I love it. I know it's fun to think about. As I was talking, I even thought about some more things for our virtual library. So I love it when that happens. And we'll share too where you guys you can reach out, and if you have any questions afterwards, always happy to help too. Give it like one more minute. See if we have any. Well, let's go on. Let's go to the next slide, see what we have to talk about when it comes to our upcoming webinars. And I want you guys to jot these down. I want you to also keep an eye out because we have registrations coming up really soon on March 11th and April 15th at 4 o'clock Central again. We will have 2 more super fun and exciting Demco webinars. So we can't wait to tell you guys what those are about too. You can also scan this QR code for the slides or find it at the bit.ly, and we'll make sure that you have access to all of those. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. We're so excited that you joined us today, and we hope that you guys enjoy your week wherever you are. Stay warm if you're in the Midwest or somewhere cold. Like it's cold too in Colorado today, right, Bree?
It is. And we did have some questions come through if you want to take a little bit of time.
I would love that.
Okay, Richard asks, are there any tools that you can suggest where you can create or generate AI library suggestions, like suggesting books for students?
Yes, I actually even thought about that today, that I should have put it into the slides. So School AI is one that I am having so much fun with. School AI is a tool that we actually have a new community within their spaces in School AI as librarians, and you can find they have a book suggestion one. They have a few around like news and media literacy. And so what I'll do is in the slides, I'll just put it kind of at the end in the questions. I'll go in right after this and put in a couple of slides about School AI, where you can find the community, and also the chat bot of how you can even ask for book recommendations. Another thing I want to mention, and I'll put this in the slide too, is in our Destiny Discover. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, if you use Follett Destiny, there is now an AI tool. So you have to have the unified navigation on, and then you have the AI tool, and you can reach out if you need me to explain this more, because I'm still learning myself, but I have done it now several times and help people. And you can ask then in there for suggestions too around your own collection. And so that is super cool that we now have AI in Destiny as well. So I love that little addition.
We have another question from Amy. She's asked, what version of Follett Destiny are you running?
The most recent, is it 23.2 or something like that? Here, I'm going to try to look it up. I think that I can't remember what is the most current one, but it would have come out probably like 2 weeks ago. And so if maybe you know how to check this, but if you like log in, go to your back office and look way at the bottom, you'll be able to find like what version it is. But please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, because I am happy, super happy to help. Trying to
Um,
find what version it is, but not having too much luck.
okay, maybe you can reach out to her later.
Yeah.
So our next question is, you have so much on your platform, how do the kids navigate?
So we have orientation in the fall when kids start back to school. So we work on that like the first 2 weeks of school. And it's kind of scaffold, right, for like age levels. Like our kindergartners, they have iPads. And so a lot of the things that they get to are through QR codes that we direct them to. Then when they get into first grade, they start using Google Classroom. And of course, we have it be pretty simple. They're using the choice boards and things like that. But as they, get older, they start using a lot more things. They start using Destiny more, and they start using the library site more. To be honest, now that we have Google Classroom and I have one for the library, I see the kids probably more than anything going to that and to the choice boards to get information, and also to Destiny. I mean, I love having them go there because they know, where to get things. And then they're just bookmarking things too on their Chromebooks as well, like kind of their favorite places. But we start out small. I work in a school where I work with, preschool to 12th grade. And so it's nice to be able to give them different places, but also to kind of scaffold like how they're getting there at what age too, how we're helping them.
We have lots of thank yous, and Sandy says that she's been using your choice boards since COVID, and she shared them with her other 5 elementary schools. She said, thank you so much. But that's
Oh,
all the questions that we have. But I did want to remind everyone that they will be getting an email in a couple of days with the recording and everything else. So be sure that you look out for that.
Bree, can you also put my email in the chat for me? Can you do that? I
Of
can't.
course.
Thank you. Yeah, so just put my Shannon McClintock Miller at gmail.com. I don't know if you guys know this if you're listening, but Brianna is actually my daughter. And so we have so much fun doing these webinars and so many things together, like our newsletter, but it's so nice to, I was her librarian too. So she gets how to help, right, Bree?
Of course, it is so fun being able to work with you.
I love it. Well, thank you guys so much. And we're happy that you came. We can't wait to see you again next month for another one. And we'll be sharing that registration super soon. So you guys have a great week and please feel free to reach out. We're always here to help and to support you in your library journey.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Bree.